Hello, my lovely sea urchins, and welcome back to another episode of The Bedhead Talks, where I talk about mental health, self-help stuff, and whatever else that I want. Today we're going to talk about learning to let go and acceptance. For example, today I had to accept that I'm not going to record in the daylight because I didn't wake up early enough before work, and the sun sets at 5:30 now. Hot. Disclaimer, I do not replace your therapist, your counselor, your psychiatrist, your psychologist. So please, if you're struggling with something, seek a professional. I'm only here to talk about my experience and whatever advice I can offer based on that. Okay, letting go. Acceptance. In life, as we grow older, we've got to accept things changing and having to let go either of people or even objects that might have had sentimental value. But before we can actually figure out ways to cope, we have to learn how to accept whatever has happened. So what I like to go back to is a couple years back, I went to this existential humanistic psychology conference. I don't remember all the talks that happened that day, but there was one that stuck out to me the most, and it was all about embracing pain. Now, this speaker was talking about physical pain. The main point he was making was how, imagine you've hurt your back. While a lot of the pain comes from the actual injury itself, a big part of it is also our mental reaction to it, how we feel about this and about what it means. Why me? Why did this have to happen today? I've got this training later on. Or aside from the physical pain, there's actually a lot of mental pain going into this. Instead of fighting against physical pain and pushing back against it so hard, we have to learn to embrace it, to sit with it, to feel it without being mad about it, without trying to figure out how to make it better right away. I feel like this applies to emotional pain as well. A lot of the times, we can't let go because we're in denial of this pain, of this event that's caused the pain even happening. So we push back against it, or we think, why did this happen? And when we ask why, we're looking for an answer so that we can change it. That's really what it is. And that way you're still in denial. You're still bargaining technically because you're trying to figure out the reason for this. Because you think, deep down inside, you think that once you know the reason, you can change it and you can make it all better. And sometimes it's just not the case. The first step to learning to let go is to accept that this person, for example, is no longer in your life. Sit with it. Don't try to distract yourself. If this is a romantic relationship, don't try to immediately go out there and find someone else. You always hear that. Don't just try to find a rebound. And in fact, even with friends, don't, just because you've lost this friend, suddenly the next person that you even click with a bit, you're like, okay, I'm gonna latch onto this person. It's the same way everywhere. Really sit with it and really feel it. Accept that it's happened genuinely without questioning why. Just be like, yep, this has happened. This is how I feel about it. It sucks. Okay. After you've actually processed as much, obviously recovery from emotional pain doesn't just happen. It's not linear. It's a kind of a roller coaster. So I'm not saying that that day that you finally are like, oh yes, I've accepted this, you're gonna be like, great. There's gonna be a relapse someday. That's just gonna happen. And part of acceptance is realizing that's gonna happen and not being mad at yourself when there's a day that you feel just as bad again. It's part of the healing. Once you've had that time to really process this, next is letting go. The first thing I would say is to realize why you're holding on. You have to analyze, what is it about them that feels special? What is it about them that makes them feel like I'll never find it again? Once you've pinpointed these things, you will realize that you can find it again. People, places, things are only special because we make them special. Yeah, sure, humans, we're unique, everyone is different, whatever, cool. But when you really break it down, over 7 billion people in the world, you're bound to find another person who shares your sense of humor, same interests and hobbies you get along with. And if it's dating and that you find attractive, as much as we are unique, you're still gonna find those common things with someone else. They're not the only person. Once you begin to realize that this person is not as special as you made them out to be, not to be mean, but it's the reality, it'll be easier to let go of it. Because number one, you realize they're not that special, but number two, you realize that you can find someone else to fill their spot eventually, who might be an even better fit for you. The sooner that you stop associating, oh, this is so special, or even have places that become special because we've associated it with that person, or like little objects that maybe they've given us as gifts and whatever, that you feel like, oh, this holds special meaning. As soon as you've not associated them with it, it'll be much easier. Because you see, once it becomes a negative thing, once that association means that you feel bad, it does not serve you anymore. Yeah, it's cool when you're still friends, when you're still in a relationship, when you still have them in your life, to be able to go to places that you used to go before and be like, oh, remember when this happened? It's nice at that point. It's serving you well. Once it becomes a negative thing, then there's no need for it. And this goes into another thing. Realize when they don't serve you anymore. A lot of the times, we drift away from friends, and it'll be months and months of you not talking anymore. And start to think, why did this happen? Why did we drift apart? But then you have to really think to yourself, if they came back into your life right now, would they even serve a purpose anymore? Because you see, the person that you're thinking about, number one, it might be an idea in itself. Our memories are not reliable, but even more when time has passed by and nostalgia has taken over and you feel like, oh, we had the best time together. You have to really sit there and think. Number one, was our initial friendship, relationship actually that great? Number two, if they came into my life right now, when months have passed by, when they're a different person, when I'm a different person, will it really be as great as I think it will be? Or am I just better off moving on with my life and meeting new people, making new friends who I can click with as the person I am today, who as well don't have this idea of me from the past that I might sometimes feel that I should stick to? So you see here, we're trying to find positives to this negative event that's happened in our lives, which goes to my next point. The pain we feel when we lose someone, part of it is the pain that the actual event caused, that initial ouch. But a lot of it is actually the mental side of it, the pain perception, the meaning we put behind this event. For example, if when you break up with someone, the meaning you put behind it is I'm unlovable, I will never find someone again, they were the only one for me, that's gonna make your breakup feel a lot worse and take a longer time to heal from. But if instead the meaning you put behind it is, it sucks, but I guess this just wasn't the person for me, maybe I'll find someone else, maybe it's not the right time, maybe we'll meet in the future, maybe not, but either way, right now it's not working out, so that's it for now. It will be a lot easier. I'm not saying that's going to be pain-free. And of course, when you've been in a relationship for so long and it ends, you're not going to quickly be like,
oh yeah, this is for the best.
You know what I mean? We're humans. We're not going to just automatically go into logic mode. We're going to feel like crap, right? But once you've had that time to embrace the pain, then you can start to slowly be realistic with yourself. So the pain is one thing. Changing the way we see that pain, how we perceive it, and the meaning behind it makes it easier to process and to therefore let go. And when we change the meaning behind it, we change our mindset. So instead of thinking, oh no, I've lost this person that I was going to spend forever with and now I'm going to be alone for life. Instead, you can think, maybe now I can find someone who is more suitable for me. Maybe you and this previous friend or previous partner didn't agree on everything. Maybe you felt judged about some things. So now you have a chance to find someone who will accept you as you are and that you feel comfortable being your complete self around, for example. So changing the way that you perceive this loss will help you let go. And lastly, the two things that I want us to be aware of. Number one, be careful if you've gone through months or years of your life where things just weren't going your way. You were just depressed, life was just bad, and now life is okay, or even good. Sometimes we can't accept it. We can't process that we could possibly be content with our lives right now. And so subconsciously, we're going back to things that will cause us pain because then we feel that. It's really weird, and I know it sounds dumb, but trust me, there's this weird addiction sometimes to feeling pain, to feeling down, because we're not used to being okay. So be careful. Are you addicted to suffering? Maybe you should let yourself be happy. Because you know what? Life's gonna go up and down anyway. Might as well enjoy it when it's up and not try to put yourself in a situation where you don't feel good anymore. You deserve to be happy. And the last thing is, true acceptance does not mean that when someone asks you later on, oh, how are you doing about that? How are you coping with it? You're like, oh yeah, I don't care anymore. Or it is what it is. Trying to seem like you're not bothered at all when just last month you were crying your eyes out. True acceptance is acknowledging what's happened, accepting it, and being like, oh yeah, that really sucked, that really hurt, but you will move on in life. You will still carry it as a part of you, but you won't let it weigh you down. That's the most important thing with acceptance. There was a lot that I want to talk about in this video. I feel like there was a lot more points that I had, but I just felt like I'm gonna go in all directions. I hope that I've made sense. And if anything that I've said today really stuck out to you, please comment down below. And if you have any tips of your own on letting go, please suggest it as well. I'm sure we can all use all the help that we can get. I'll see you in the next video.